Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the channel today. I know I've been away for a minute. It's been a lot of things that are happening in my life. Me and my wife, we had our first baby, and so just kind of took a little bit of time away to focus on being a dad and, well, preparing to be a dad, becoming a dad, and then enjoying the time with my son. But we back. So thank you guys so much for being patient. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and being a part of the family. And, I want to go through and talk about the last video that I posted, which was me fishing out on Toledo Bend for the Bass Nation regional tournament. So before we get into the video today, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button, share this content with somebody, and also drop a comment down below and let me know how much you're enjoying it and engage in the conversation that we're having today, and let me know your thoughts on it.
And we vibing, from the dark to the deep, we shining. JD fish and keep riding.
Today, I just want to tell you guys about my experience fishing the Toledo Bend Bass Nation Regional Tournament. This was my first time ever fishing a tournament of this magnitude. I actually wasn't gonna fish this tournament, but then I was watching the 2026 Bassmaster Classic and watching the young man Dylan Nutt come through and win the Bassmaster Classic, and the path that qualified him for the Classic was the Bass Nation Trail. So if you haven't never heard about it, know anything about it, I'm not gonna do that right now. Go do some research on it, go look at it. But it's a cool way for grassroots anglers to get an opportunity to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic. And so this was the first time that I was gonna do it. Of course, you guys know that I fish as a non-boater, and so watching the Classic, watching Dylan win, I was like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and sign up. So I signed up for this tournament because with the Texas Bass Nation, there's a way that we can qualify for the tournament, and the state would be able to, we would go and represent our state and our region. Unfortunately, I did not qualify for that aspect of it, so I had to pay my way into this tournament, and which is fine with me because, you know, hey, who knows what could happen. So I get there. We go to check in on Tuesday, check in and everything. The process that they had laid out, everything was super smooth. So, man, thank you to the tournament directors and everybody, the volunteers, the staff, the team that was there, that was working. Man, they made that whole experience really, really great. So the check-in, all of that, you know what I mean? You get there, you get checked in. You got to do your fishing license check, and you know what I mean, for the boaters they have to do the insurance and all the other stuff like that. And you know, we get our text with our boat pairings and flight times and everything. So I was super excited going into it. I knew that this was going to be a hard event. I knew this was going to be the most guys that I've ever had to fish against, and you know, if I won this tournament, that's like, oh my God, craziest thing ever. But that was at the back of my mind. I wanted to just be a part. I just wanted to make the cut. Honestly, I want to make the cut to make it to the next round, to fish the championship. That's really what I want. Even if I was the last guy in, I was just okay just making that cut and getting in. And so we go through, get our parents, get all of that stuff, and that was something that I hadn't factored to be an issue in this tournament, that became an issue in this tournament, and I didn't factor it until later that night. I was talking to a couple guys from my area, and they asked a question that was like, you know, do you know if your guys fishing offshore a lot or all of that? Which, and I think in my mind, because I fish with guys in my local club, I fish with guys in the Texas Bass Nation. I mean, they have the forward-facing sonar, but I didn't think that it was going to be, you know what I mean, because they use it, but they don't use it exclusively. So I didn't picture it as much of it being an issue until I thought about the magnitude of this tournament. And so, you know, I mean, I get my parent on day number one, and it's a younger guy. We're around the same age. I think there may have been like a year or two difference, and so we're around the same age. And he was a really nice guy, really cool dude. And so I was like, hey, he was like, hey, you know, he was a local from around the area. He fished the lake a lot, so he kind of knew what he wanted to do. So we took off on a pretty good sized run on day number 1, and we get to a side on the lake, and we're offshore to start the morning, straight offshore to start the morning. And he's going through, he's staring down at the screen, and you know, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm a figure something out. Okay, we're here, you know. Maybe some fish will start moving around, start chasing some bait early morning, whatever. I'll figure it out. Now, I didn't know how deep we were because the graph at the console and all that, like he turned those off. So it's like I didn't know how deep we were. I didn't know, you know what I mean, whether there was any kind of structure or anything. Like, I mean, I said, except for the standing trees and things that I could see around me, the timber and stuff that was around me, as far as like any like ledges, I had no idea of anything that was going on around. And so we're going through, he's staring down at his screen, and he's going through and he's going through. First fish he hooks up with is a 7-pounder. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's great. So I was like, all right, well, I know at least if he got one, hopefully there's more that are around me. And so we're going through fishing, and I ended up sticking a fish on a drop shot, and the fish was not, it was a non-score, but he was less than 14 inches, right? So I'm like, okay, my luck, you catch a 7-pounder, I catch a little dink, you know what I mean? Story of my life. So then we go through, we continue to keep going fishing, and I got a really good solid bite. And it's like I could feel the fish, like he picked up the bait and then he spit it right back out, right? And so I reeled in the cast back in there. Right when I go to cast back in the area, the boater had already, you know what I mean, he had turned his scope over there because he heard me say, oh, dang, I missed one. He turned his scope. He goes through and he sees the fish in there. He scopes it out, ends up hooking up with the fish, and ends up losing the fish. And it was another, I would say that fish was probably about 5-6 pounds. You could see it. It was a nice size fish. Ends up losing this fish. So tournament started around 7:00, right? By, I would say 10:30, my boater already has about 20 pounds, 20, 21, 22 pounds around 10:30. He's already sitting on a solid bag already. And in this time frame, I was only able to catch one fish that was a keeper on day number 1. And how I ended up catching this fish, because you know, once he got on his trolling motor and looking at his scope, it was like he was going extremely fast. There wasn't a lot of time to allow my bait to yeah, because I started throwing a Carolina rig to try to give myself a chance, you know what I mean, throwing some stuff. And like I really, like, by the time I cast it out there, I would have to reel it in because he's changed the boat position, changes this way, changes that way, changes this way. So it's a lot of boat changing and all of that stuff that was happening on day number 1. And how I ended up catching the fish that was a keeper, it was like we literally pulled up to a spot. I'm like, you know what I mean, you know, the guy, he parks, you know, he stops it, he's turning everything off before he gets up to pull his trolling motor down, put his trolling motor down and all that, right? So literally as he's shutting the boat off, I still got my life jacket, all of my stuff, I'm still seated, and I literally grab a rod and I cast it out there to give myself a chance for my bait to at least get in a strike zone area. And literally off of that cast, I ended up catching a fish, and that's how I caught my one keeper on day number 1. So he goes through the other time, like I said, he's on that trolling motor pretty heavy, chasing down fish, singling out individual fish, and really just, you know, hooking up, right? So, you know, I'm being a supportive co-angler, non-boater in the back, you know. I'm helping him net his fish, you know what I mean? I'm celebrating with him. And I think that the internal turmoil that I'm dealing with, which is, it's like watching this guy pull in 5-pounder, 7-pounder, 6-pounder like this, and I'm celebrating with you because, like, yeah, man, like, you got a good bag. And he's like, oh my God, yeah, we're doing so good. And it's like, no, fam, like, you're doing good. I have one fish that may squeak out a pound and some change, and I was like, this is really not, I'm really not having a good event right now. And so we go through, and so we finally, on day number one, there was a storm. A storm started brewing in a little bit. So we kind of went to an area that was close to the boat ramp. We were in the second flight, I believe, on day number one. So we didn't have, so our check-in time was not, we weren't the first ones to check in. So we still had, I would say, another 30-40 minute window before we had to leave to go check in. And the last spot that we were in, I literally could have taken a rock and thrown it at the weigh-in area because we were that close. It was maybe like a 2-minute run, if that, to the ramp. And so we go through, and we are in this area, and this is, open water, offshore spot, and I'm casting out there, and I finally again got another solid bite. And so it was like, I felt the fish pick it up, spit it back out or whatever. So I'm like, I'm gonna pitch back in there. And as I'm getting ready to pitch it back in there, like I said, we still had about 30-40 minutes left. My boater decided that he wanted to go ahead and go check in early. And so day number one, I was a little disappointed. I had a fish, was able to walk across the stage, and that was another thing that I wanted to do. It's like, I didn't want to zero. I at least wanted to catch a fish to walk across the stage. This is the first time I've ever fished a tournament like this, be able to walk across the stage. And I had some family back at home. It was like, hey, I at least want y'all to see me walk across the stage. And so that was day number one was very, I would say, disappointing for me. It was I'm a competitor by nature. I grew up playing soccer. I played at the highest levels that you can play, and to get to this point and just kind of feel like growing up in soccer, we used to make the statement, which was, it's one thing to play against a hard opponent, it's another thing to play against a hard opponent and a hard referee. I knew that Toledo Bend is going to be beat up on guys on practice. There were a couple other local events that happened. And so, like, now we're going into the tournament. So I knew the lake was going to be beat up pretty bad. So it's like I'm having to fish against the lake pressure on top of having to fish against a guy using the scope. And it's like, realistically, in my opinion, it's really hard to beat the scope. It's really hard, especially when the trolling motor is on 10 and you're not really giving yourself an opportunity to really kind of fish, get your bait in the area that you can actually catch a fish. So that's really what happened on day number one. Nothing horrible bad about the guy or whatever. If I had the opportunity to fish with him again, I would fish with him again. I would love to fish with him again. And he's a really cool guy, really nice guy. There were some things that even in the bad of that, there were things that I learned, from the way I just kind of looked at how he set up his route for how he wanted to approach certain places in this tournament and stuff like that, and how he did certain things. So it was like I was still paying attention to learn and to grow as an angler as well. In this tournament, right? So that was day number one. Day number two, because I did only had one fish on day number one, and I got paired with a guy on day number two, really nice guy. He was a little bit of an older gentleman, not super old, but I would say he was older than me. And he didn't do, he had a limit, but his limit wasn't a big bag on day number one. And so I think based on his position in the tournament, he kind of knew that he wasn't going to qualify for the cut. So I think his day number two for him was, hey, I'm already here. Let's just go fishing type thing. And for me, even though I only had one fish on day number one, I think I was still maybe I just needed about 6 or 7 pounds day number two, that would have qualified me to make the cut to go to champion. So it's like, even though I had a bad day number one, I still got an opportunity day number two. Put your head down and fish. And I had the bites on day number two. I had the bites, I just didn't have the size. And day number two, once again, I was only able to keep one fish in that tournament. Walked the stage one final time, man, and it was a hard. It was disappointing because it just kind of felt like I was better than what I showed in that tournament. I finished in the middle of the table, so I wasn't in the last group of guys. Wasn't in the top group of guys. I finished right in the center of all the guys that was out there that was fishing. So I was a little disappointed about that because I felt as though as an angler for what I'm able to do, I think I could have had a little bit, even if I didn't qualify for the cut, just to be, I would say to be a little bit closer than what I was. And that's really what I wanted. So I was a little disappointed in that tournament, and it was really hard. And I think, you know what I mean, with everything that's happening and going on right now in the world of fishing, with guys talking about the whole forward facing sonar and everything, I think this is a conversation that's happening around fishing. You know, like does forward facing have a place in the sport? Does it have it in tournament fishing? I think it, you know, because of I think for one, does it give some guys an advantage and give other guys a disadvantage in tournament fishing? But then also I look at it as for the group of guys who would be a part of the sport who may not have a boat and they fish as co-anglers, you know what I mean, is the scope going to completely eradicate them? I mean, you're already seeing tournaments across the nation. You're seeing a drastic decline in you're seeing just a decline in participation on both sides, but especially even on non-boaters, because, you know what I mean, we go out there and you know what I mean, who wants to go out there and not get an opportunity to be in a place where you can catch a fish? You know what I mean? That, you know, you at least want to be able to compete, and if you're robbed of being able to compete, it just makes it a little challenge. Now, I know what some of you guys who are out here, you're boaters and all this stuff, you're gonna say, well, if you don't want that problem, go buy you a boat. I am actively working towards that. But for those guys who may be in situations who cannot afford it and stuff like that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of factors. You know what I mean? You got to have a vehicle to tow a boat, buying a boat, the maintenance of the boat, and, you know what I mean, just insurance, all those very different things. You know, it's a lot. And so you want to make sure that you're in a position to be able to do so. And so that's why I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be able to fish with other guys in their boats and all that stuff. And I want to make sure that, you know, I keep my area clean. I contribute. You know what I mean? I always ask, you know, hey, like, what's good? How much do I need to contribute towards whatever? You know what I mean? Because I'm appreciative of being allowed to be in your space for where you spend your hard-earned money and you've worked for to, you know what I mean, to be able to have your nice boats and all that stuff. So to be able to contribute and help out. So I always want to do my best in helping them out in doing that, as well as you know, I just think it's one of those things, man, where I think fishing should be for everybody. You know what I mean? Especially tournament fishing, if we're able to come together and be a part, everybody should be able to be a part of that, boaters and non-boaters. And I think you know what I mean, especially in a tournament like that, I think it makes it hard. You know, looking at day number 3, the guys who did qualify for the championship on the non-boater side, because I was keeping up with the Bass track and I watched the weigh-in and all of that stuff from the tournament. And there were guys who were at the top of the non-boaters who got paired with guys who scoped heavy in the championship. And some of them, you mean, where they were turning in their full limit, they only turned in 1 fish. And I was like, yeah, because now you're in a situation where, I mean, you got paired with guys that you were able to catch fish. Now you're in a situation with the guys that we were with on championship day, and it affected your overall ending of your tournament. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that needs to be addressed. Overall, it still was a good experience for me to just get out there, get my feet wet, get around, talk to some guys, network, meet some guys that I probably would have never met had I not gone to this event. I'm looking forward to being there next year, 2027. I don't know where, they haven't released where the lakes are going to be and where we're going to fish and do all this, but I'm looking forward to it. I don't know where it's going to be, what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to putting a better show, you know what I mean, putting on a better show next year and putting my best foot forward. And, you know what I mean, and, you know, I remember a couple years ago when the Bassmaster Classic, I think was at 2025, was here, Texas, on Lake Ray Roberts, and I got the opportunity to be a participant in a activation event with Mercury on that stage. And you know what I mean, I ended up winning a prize or whatever. I didn't win the grand prize. I was so close. The fish that was actually the grand prize, I picked it up and put it back down and grabbed a different one. So I was so close to winning there, but at the but a couple years ago, I remember talking to all the guys in the back. I remember we were in the back, and KVD and all these guys were in the back. And I said, man, this won't be the last time that you guys see me on this stage. You know what I mean? And I really feel like, you know what I mean, you put your head down, anything is possible. You never know what could happen. And we saw Dylan Nutt qualify through the Bass Nation tournament trail, qualify for the tournament trail, goes all the way to the Classic and wins the Classic. And I'm just saying, if he can do it, and he's younger than me, and you know what I mean, and granted, he got a boat, he got all this other stuff, right? But if he can do it the same way that I'm doing it, and he's younger than me, who's to say that I can't do it? Who's to say that you can't do it? Who's to say that anybody can do it, right? All things are possible to everybody. And you just got to put in the time, put in the effort, put in the energy, put in the... Man, my GoPro died on me while I was out there. But listen, all things are possible to everybody, anybody who believes, put in the work, the effort, the energy to get out there and make something happen. So, man, like, I'm super encouraged. I'm excited about another opportunity to get out there, fish, learn, grow, and, make something happen. So, hey, man, leave your thoughts down below. Let me know. Do you think that forward facing should not be the pros, the cons, all of that stuff? Drop a comment down below. Let's have this conversation. Let's have this dialogue. But hey, without further ado, thanks you guys so much for tuning in to the channel. And don't worry. Next video, we back to the fishing. We back on the lake. So thank you guys. Love y'all. Be blessed. Be safe. Be kind. And until next time, tight lines. We out. Peace.
Perfect weather outside, so you know we grindin'. We vibin'. From the dock to the D, we shining. JD fishing, keep riding.